So this is Marc Hough.
Yes.
Best known as DJ Tintin.
Yes, indeed.
And we first met, it's probably one of the best years of my life, in 1989, when you were DJing at Lazy Lils.
Lazy Lils, yes. So I've DJed in many places in Manchester.
Yeah.
I could say some funny stories about that place. So that was what, 1989?
Yeah, or was it 88? 88, 89?
Probably 89. So when I first started DJing in nightclubs in Manchester, it was 1987.
Yeah.
I was DJing in a little place called Archies.
Oh yeah.
Underneath the railway arches there. You see what you did there with the name.
Yeah.
Then of course I went to the venue, and so from 88 I was DJing at the venue.
Yeah.
With Leo, and then
what was you playing in the venue?
God. So here's the interesting thing. So when I first started going out to clubs in 1985,
yeah,
I was 15.
Yeah.
We were going to indie clubs because this is the type of music we like. We like guitar music.
Yeah.
And one thing that was really strange about those days is they had this thing called what I used to call the dance floor migration.
Yeah.
Right. So basically, they play a tune by, I don't know, The Clash.
Yeah.
And there'd be a certain group of people dancing.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then a New Order song would come off, and all the people who danced The Clash would walk off.
Yeah.
And then all the people who wanted to dance the New Order would come on.
Yeah.
And it's like a migration. And then they play Smith's tune, all the New Order people would walk on, and then all the Morrissey lookalikes come on.
Yeah,
it's dance floor migration, and it was like that in all the indie clubs. But then when 88 came around and people started taking more drugs in the nightclubs, and of course house music had made its great proper appearance in Manchester, then people stayed on the dance floor, regardless of what you're playing. So in 1988, in the venue, and then Lazy Lils, then I went on to play at the Boardwalk and a bit of the Hacienda and all these other places. We were doing what we call what is now called indie dance.
Yeah.
So back in '88, there was clubs that played strictly dance music, and in '88 it was a bit of electro, a bit of soul, that type of stuff, or it was indie. And we thought, hang on a minute, we like house music and we like indie music, so why not play both things together?
Yeah.
And there was nobody else doing that at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, then it became a genre of its own.
Yeah.
But when we were doing that, there was other people doing that in London. So I know Andrew Weatherall and people like that were doing it down there as well, the same thing as we were doing. And do you remember a Primal Scream record called Loaded?
Yeah.
Which was like their big dance smash. Well, the beat that's behind Loaded is actually the B-side of a white label by Edie Brickell. And what I used to do is I used to play this behind indie records, give it a bit of a beat.
Yeah.
And then of course Loaded came out of Primal Scream, and Andy Weatherall did exactly the same thing with the same record.
Yeah.
So great minds think alike,
Yeah. I remember, so I went in Dave Aslam's Temperance Night on Thursday.
Yes.
Which was mainly guitar music, and then he played the odd house record.
Yeah.
But Lazy Lils at the weekend, you would play a lot of indie. I always associate Cabin Up for the four of you,
right?
And then the Pixies, This Monkey Gone to Heaven. But you would play things like acid rock. But what made you stand out was you would leg it from the dance floor. You'd go on the stage, you'd freak out, and then somehow you'd sprint back to your DJ's deck, and then you'd carry on. You were the first, really. And I saw that place transform, because it's very studenty and cool and serious, the Temperance, brilliant night. But I always thought that Lazy Lils was like just a proper baggy party atmosphere.
It was, because we had a great party atmosphere going at the venue in those days, and of course we were going out and we were DJing at warehouse parties and all that type of stuff. And then, I mean, just to explain what Lazy Lils is, because people might not know what it was. There was a club called DeVille's, just next to, down the street next to the town hall, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the road. But next door they had a club that used to walk, there was a walkway through it called Lazy Lils. Now what they used to do is they had a bucking bronco in there. But anyway, there's new management took over the place and decided to rip out the bucking bronco and turn it into a club in its own right. And that's when they drafted me in to go and play there. I was on Friday and a Saturday in 1989. And I remember I'd agreed to do it, and the guy who run the place was a guy called Gay Ray.
Was it?
Right, okay, and I'm not being sort of on PC because he called himself Gay Ray, and he had this really strong Blackburn accent.
Yeah.
So he goes, it's Ray, Gay Ray, like that. And I remember him saying to me, right, it's okay, you can DJ here on a Friday and Saturday. I was like, right, he went, and I said, how much did you get paid? He went, £35. I thought, £35? What, for 4 hours, 10 till 2? All right, that's not too bad. But I didn't realise it was £35 to DJ from 7:30 till 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a lot of money, but £70 for me at the time for a weekend was a lot of money in those days. And so I've done
988?
Yeah, 89. Basically, I spent it all on money.
Yeah.
And speed, probably.
Yeah.
But when I left Lazy Lils, it was a bit of a bad scene, actually.
Yeah. It
was a bit of a bad scene because what happened was when Gay Ray took me on, he went, right, you don't bring any of them drugs in here, like all you Hacienda lot. No, I won't, Ray, I promise you I won't. Anyway, one night I was DJing, and let's just say I'd had some refreshments to try and get into the spirit of the night with all the other punters. And I had a great night, and the place was absolutely banging. Then at the end of the night, I was, sat there celebrating with a little brandy and coke in my hand. And I had a little box where I had my stash. And in those days, I just take a bit of acid and a bit of whiz and something, whatever. Yeah. I had the box open, and Gay Ray was coming past collecting the glasses, and he saw this box. I thought, oh shit, here we go. But he didn't say a word. Yeah. And then I left one of my boxes there overnight because I was DJing somewhere, some late night party in Hume or something. Went back on the Monday to pick up my box of tunes, and he wasn't there, Ray. I picked up the box, thought, just making a funny sound. I opened up the box, and there was a note from Ray saying, "You're sacked." Right? And I thought, what's that? And I took my records out, and it was snapped in half. And what he'd done, Gay Ray, is taken every record out of its sleeve, snapped it, and put it back in its sleeve.
Wow.
Which was bad, really.
That's outrageous. They were probably would have been worth a bit, wouldn't it?
Yes, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It was heartbreaking. There was nothing I could do, But yeah, so I only DJ'd there for about a year.
Yeah. And
then after that, I went to DJ at the Boardwalk on a Saturday with Dave Haslam, of course, who was doing the same thing as me, really. Yeah. He was doing sort of indie and dance stuff.
What was it called before Yellow?
No, it wasn't. So it was called Freedom. The Saturday that we did was called Freedom, and then they did Yellow on a Friday, subsequently a bit later on. Yeah, but we did Friday, Saturdays. I was there for 3 years, I think, with Dave, doing Saturdays at the Boardwalk, and they were wild days.
I remember you taking us to a party in Disbury once, and we were all tripping. I don't know if it was someone at New Order's house, but we all had acid, we all had strawberries in them.
Yeah, happy days. I mean, the thing is with acid, I mean, we should talk about acid. A lot of people think that, everybody was on ecstasy in those days. Yeah. But the problem with ecstasy was it was very, very expensive. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So most of the time people would have an ecstasy, when I first had my first ecstasy, it was 25 quid a pill. Yeah. Yeah. And nobody could afford that really, or we couldn't, So I remember the first time I had ecstasy, one of the Happy Mondays gave me one free, presumably because he was off his tits, was feeling a bit generous. I was like, my God, this is amazing.
Do you remember where he was?
I was at a warehouse party, as we used to call them.
Yeah.
We never used to call them raves, only dickheads used to call it raves. It was a warehouse party bit behind the City Road Inn, opposite the Hacienda.
Was that the one that Laer did?
Laer and Eric Barker did a couple there. It was the second one that he did that I was at there. I had my first evening, it was amazing. But then the next time I had it, it was 4 of us, all shoved a £5 in each to get it. We all had a quarter, and that was good enough. But most of the time, we'd have a mixture of acid and speed, which kind of gave you the same effect as an E, in a way. Yeah. And it lasted just as long, but it was a fraction of the price. Because you used to be able to get an acid for £1.50.
Yeah, they were well cheaper.
And half a gram of whiz was £7, as opposed to 25 quid for an E.
Yeah. That'd be about £50 now, wouldn't it? It'd be like paying for a gram of coke now, wouldn't it? Like
possibly. Well, paying more than that. So I gather. I mean, I don't take drugs anymore.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, just say no, kids.
Yeah, definitely. When did you start DJing at warehouse parties?
Oh God! So it would have been sort of 88, 89, and there was a lot of people putting on warehouse parties. I mean, Eric and Leah did the first ones. Yeah. And then the Donnelly brothers, who had Gio Goy, started putting them on as well. And I mean, the best warehouse party I ever went to was this thing called Sweat It Out.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
That they did just behind. Yeah, it was amazing. Just behind, particularly train station it was. Yeah. That was great. So I did a bit for them, and there was a guy called Muffin, or Jimmy Sherlock to give him his proper name, who was the Happy Mondays tour manager. Yeah. And he put some parties on. I used to DJ for him as well. But yes, about 88, 89, as well as DJing the clubs, I was doing those parties as well. Yeah. And some of them went on for days.
Yeah.
You know.
Did they?
They went on for days. Good fun.
But yeah, that Sweat It Out was legendary.
Good fun. Yeah, and I remember, in fact, I think it was a Sweat It Out gig, rave, Warehouse party. And I'd been up taking a load of drugs. And I remember going home and getting in bed. And I was just like, I'm having some awful shit, because all I heard was like these awful ghoulish screams in my mind. I'm like, oh my God, I thought this is awful. I thought, what all these noises going on? It was like babies being drowned in my head. I was like, what the hell's going on? Why am I hearing all these noises? Eventually fell to sleep, and then woke up and realised that the noises weren't in my head at all. My friend's cat had given birth to a litter of kittens underneath my bed. And me tripping listening to that was just bad.
Do you like fast forwarding a bit? I hadn't seen you for 10, 15 years, and then you know, without the internet, mobile phones, everyone loses touch, don't they?
Yeah.
And I bumped into you in Fab Cafe, and I thought, fucking hell, that's Tintin. And then I was chatting to you, and then you said that you were a journalist, and then you were doing stuff for the Sunday Sport.
I was for a while.
Shawn Ryder.
With Shawn Ryder, oh God, yes. I had an awful trip to Ibiza with Shawn Ryder, which went very, very wrong. But let's just say that I was there to really, well, I was DJing with him over there, and we were supposed to be writing some stuff, but he just basically disappeared. He went on some weird drugs bender.
Did I?
And went completely missing, and eventually I just left him there.
Yeah.
Best place for him, really.
How did you end up, because you're the tour DJ for New Order now, aren't you? When did you start that?
Oh, so I've been tour DJ for New Order for about 20 years now.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit longer than that. How did that happen? Well, when I first started going to see gigs, same as you probably, you know, in the 80s, you know, in between the gigs, you didn't used to have a DJ playing. There was some roadie be playing some shite tape of his own music or something. Yeah. But then, of course, with club culture, people realised that, you know, it'd be good to have a proper DJ playing in between the bands. And I knew New Order from the dance scene. Of course, they own the Hacienda, and Bernard, who was the singer, went to a lot of the parties as well. I knew from there. I think how it happened was I used to DJ at a place called the International. I don't know if you remember the International.
Yeah.
Warming up for the bands there, and Bernard and the other guys used to hang around the International.
Yeah.
And I got friendly with them. I don't know. They just wanted a DJ to DJ before their gigs, and they just thought I was the best person for the job. Which I am.
What was you playing at the International? Was it guitar music?
Well, it depends what type of band you're warming up for.
Yeah.
So, you know, if there's some, like, I don't know, some electronic techno band, then you'd play that type of stuff before they came on. If it was a guitar band, they'd play guitar music.
Yeah.
But this is the thing, there's an art form to DJing before a band. Because obviously you don't want to be playing sort of banging music and then some really mellow band comes on.
Yeah.
You've got to really think about it, you know. Just as you would do any other DJ gig, really.
My mate went to see New Order. I can't remember what it was, but he said the DJ before was fucking amazing.
Well, that would have been me, obviously.
So what would you play before a New Order gig?
I've always played sort of a mixture of old stuff and new stuff. Okay, yeah. So you'd be playing some, because the things with New Order, they're not a legacy band. You know, they're still a current band. You know, they released an LP not too many years ago. You know. So the stuff we'd be playing would be like new electro-y stuff, and if it did put some old stuff in there, then I'd do like a new reworking of it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think, you know, one thing I really dislike about a lot of DJs, I don't mean to slag any other DJs off, but I really dislike this retro scene where people all do is hark on about the past, and all they will do is play all the old stuff, and I think that's a bit dull. I mean, those are great records, and I still love Voodoo Ray and that type of thing. Yeah. But if you're going to play it, do something different with it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's what I think about it.
Do you know, Happy Mondays were brilliant, but what really transformed them was when Wrote for Luck got remixed. And I just as I'm chatting to them, I'm just thinking that was that Andrew Weatherall that remixed it?
Wrote for Look, yes, and Vince Clarke.
Yeah.
From Depeche Mode did a mix as well that we loved in Manchester as well.
Did you ever try and do that? Because you were one of the first, I'd say the first to play indie and dance at But Like All Night.
Yes.
Did you ever go at remixing stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we I mean, I could probably talk about it now, but I used to do these things, well, they're called mashups, basically, where you'd remix something, or you'd put two records together, and we'd record it, and we'd put out white labels.
Yeah.
And nobody knew who it was. I mean, strictly speaking, you're not supposed to do that type of thing.
Yeah.
Because we didn't own the copyright to the music.
Yeah.
But I remember doing a mashup of Step On by the Mondays and Run DMC's Walk This Way, and if you play the two things over the top of each other, it works perfectly. Yeah. And I remember we pressed up 1,000 white labels of that and sold them through Eastern Bloc or whatever, and we'd sold them in a week. Yeah. But yeah, no, I've done a fair bit of remixing and stuff like that, and still do a bit. I mean, one big thing I did recently, I was DJing for New Order at Wythenshawe Park this year, and one of the things I did was a Smiths remix. Now I know what you're thinking. The word Smiths and remix should never go together, and they shouldn't. But however, Andy Rourke, who was the bass player in the Smiths, was one of my best friends. Yeah. Andy sadly died a year or so ago. And the Wythenshawe Park gig with New Order, and Johnny Marr was on the same bill. It was the first big gig in Manchester that we'd had since Andy had died, and I wanted to do some kind of tribute to him. So I thought, well, I'm not going to play a Smiths record because that's just a bit naff, but I thought, well, what can I do? I'll create some kind of new tune with one of his bass lines. And I think, the best bass line that Andy ever did for the Smiths was his track called Barbarism Begins at Home.
They played it when he died. They played it at Six Grand.
They did, which is an amazing tribute to him. So what I did is I sampled his bass line from Barbarism Begins at Home and put a different beat behind it. Yeah. And then played that live and did the live mix, which was terrifying actually. With the Joe Park, it went really well. So yeah, that was great. So I'm still doing remixes and stuff. But
you're gonna send me a copy of that? I'm down to it.
I'm not allowed to. I'm not
allowed
to really.
Play it anyway.
I mean, one thing I did do though, because Johnny Marr was on the same bill before the gig, I sent a copy of the mix to Johnny and said, "Look, I'm thinking of doing this as a tribute to Andy. Yeah. What do you think? Would you mind? Do you mind me doing that? And you don't think it's too naff or anything?" But Johnny, he's a really, really encouraging guy, Johnny, and he said, "Look, man, it sounds great. You go ahead and do it." And he just make it a little bit shorter, give me a bit of advice. So we did it, and it is fantastic. And I had a lot of people ringing up saying, "What the hell was that thing you did, Barbarism Begins at Home?" So I'm still doing a bit of remixing, but not a hell of a lot.
There's a clip of Morrissey and Marr. I think it's a famous clip now, isn't it? And then they're playing that bass line, and then Johnny Marr drops his guitar, and then Morrissey and Johnny Marr dancing.
You're having a dance. Yeah. I mean, that gig at Wythenshawe Park, was a very special gig for us all, really.
Was it 35,000 people?
I think it was 35,000 people. Wow. Now, I've played gigs. I've played many, many, many gigs that size and bigger over the years with New Order, but that one was particularly special. And the reason for that is because where it was. So I used to play on Wythenshawe Park when I was a kid. Yeah. So me and Andy grew up in Sale. Yeah. And we used to play on Wythenshawe Park as a kid, and there I was going back to where I used to play when I was a kid to DJ for 35,000 people. And I was backstage just about to go on, and I was having a chat with my friend Simon Wollstonecroft, who was there with me. You did an interview with Simon last week. Yeah. And Si was saying the same thing. It's weird being here because he grew up just around the corner. I was having a chat with Johnny Marr, and Johnny Marr grew up just around the corner from Wythenshawe Park. Yeah. And he said, he kissed his girlfriend the first time in Wythenshawe Park. Yeah. He had his first magic mushroom in Wythenshawe Park. Yeah. And then of course Billy Duffy from the Cult was with him, and he was from Bagley, and we all stood backstage. Bagley, Billy Duffy's from Bagley. Yeah. And we were all stood backstage with Wythenshawe Park thinking, isn't this weird? We're here with Wythenshawe Park where we all used to play as kids. Yeah. So that made it quite special as well. Interestingly, when New Order came on stage, Bernard said, when I was a kid, I was told not to come to Wythenshawe because it was a bit rough. Yeah. Which is a bit rich coming from Bernard because he came from Salford. Yeah. From Lower Broughton. Yeah. I won't say Lower Broughton's rough, but even the rats have to walk around in pairs around here, don't they?
Well, I saw your band in Albert Square probably about 10 years ago.
Which band? Because I played in a few.
Family
Bazaar.
And I tell you what, Stephen Morris was DJing.
Yes.
He was fucking brilliant.
Yes, he was.
He was like, took me by surprise. Where I wanted to go. I mean, I didn't know him, so it felt a bit awkward going over. But I wanted to know what he was playing because he played some tracks where I never heard the one track he played sounding like a remix of Blue Monday. He probably was, but I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, and that was the great gig. So that band, that particular band that played the Family Bazaar was with Jez Kerr out of ACR.
Yeah.
And Simon.
Yeah.
And me and a guy called Keo, a friend of ours who's just sadly passed away. And a girl called Liz. And we were playing there in Albert Square. And we thought it'd be great to get Steve Morris DJing for us because it was like a reversal of fortunes. Because I was always DJing for New Order, and then Steve was going to DJ for my band. And it was a great day.
Yeah.
He was pissing it down, so
yeah.
It was a great day.
Yeah, I think was it some sort of festival, food festival?
Possibly.
Yeah.
It was probably about 10 years ago. That.
I bet New Order's dressing room's changed over the 20 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's fair to say that is the case. I mean, a lot of people think, when a band goes off and they go backstage, that it's some kind of wild hedonistic party.
Would it have been 20 years ago though?
It may be. It may have been. I'm not going to
really say, yeah.
I'm not even telling any tales out of school, but there was more of a party vibe going on many years ago.
Yeah.
Whereas now people, we go backstage and put on a fresh shirt and have a glass of white wine.
Yeah.
Which is generally what goes on nowadays.
Do you know when you did Yellow? That was the longest running night in town. Oh,
Freedom.
I thought you did Yellow.
No.
Yeah.
So I did Freedom on Saturday with Dave, and then Yellow was Dave and Jason Boardman and Elliot.
Yeah.
And they did that. So I wasn't anything to do with Yellow. I found that type of music very boring at the time. I was all into my house music, and the thought of playing the Jackson Sisters' "I Believe in Miracles" sounded very dull to me.
Do you know, I was looking on the MDMA archive, and like DJ Tintin, and then it said that night you did at the Boardwalk, you got a write up on some music magazine. It's like the best night in the country, or the most influential night in the country.
Yeah. I think it was The Face.
Yeah.
That's right. The Face called it the best club night in the country.
Wow.
Which of course it was, obviously.
How did it get accolade? What was you playing?
What we were playing. So again, it wasn't really an indie dance night. It was more dance than indie. But I think it was just it was the right time and the right people. It was Manchester. We started it in 1990 that night. So it's the tail end of the real fantastic party scene. Yeah. And there was just some amazing records coming out, and all people were absolutely bang up for it. And then me DJing with Dave Haslam was great because we had this really kind of quite special rivalry, Dave and I. Yeah. And we always trying to find new records. We were always on the hunt for new records, not only to impress our punters, but to outdo each other. It was like an arms race between Dave and I, and we had an unwritten rule: is that when one of us discovered a record and played it for the first time, that was your record, and the other one of us wouldn't be able to. So it's like an arms race between us. But that added a fantastic sort of freshen to the night as well, because we were always trying to sort of outdo each other with fantastic tunes. Yeah. And some of the records that we were playing there were fantastic. Some of them weren't. So sometimes when I look back at the tunes that we played there was some amazing stuff, things like LFO and this type of stuff. But also at that time, it was the start of the big piano phase.
I love that, piano.
Well, I mean, at the time, any house music that had a bit of piano in it, we used to go absolutely fucking crackers to. Yeah. Right, and when you're playing them now, they do sound a bit old and dated. I think some of them do anyway. Yeah. But there were some fantastic times there at the Boardwalk. We had an absolute scream. Do
you know the last video I did with you? You had all your records behind you, and it looked like you had fucking hundreds, if not thousands. When did you start collecting records? God,
when I was about 13. Yeah. 13, I think I started out with Well, no, I think I had my first records. I had a load of Beatles 7-inches. Yeah. That I got from my dad. Yeah. But I started off a load of human. I've still got my entire record collection. I've probably got about 20,000 pieces of vinyl.
Do you reckon? Wow, 20,000?
Probably, maybe more. They're not all in my house though, because I can't fit them all in there.
You'd have to store them
somewhere. They're all being stored elsewhere. But a lot of people say, well, because I think here's the interesting thing: I never play them. Yeah. You know, because, you know, it's easy just to press a button now and you cue something up rather than finding the record, taking it out of its sleeve, taking it out of its sleeve, putting it on, you know, pain in the arse. But even though I never play them, I wouldn't bear to get rid of them because every record is like a time capsule. Yeah. You know, it's a little moment in time. You know, I could probably pick any record from my collection and I'll be able to tell you a story about where I bought it from, where I was playing at the time, probably how much it cost me. Yeah. And I have that kind of like musical memory with every piece of vinyl, so I couldn't bear to sell them, you know.
It makes it more precious, doesn't it? You know, when you're describing there, like you take it out and then, I know it's an effort, but it makes the whole thing a bit more precious, doesn't it? You have that more connection with what you're listening to. And
yeah, it does, but you know...
it's so easy now though, isn't it? Just to
press that on Spotify, you know. Other streaming platforms are available. I was terrible with my records though, because when I was DJing, I used to mistreat my records so badly. I'd get a record, play in the club, and go, yeah, and then it was always about the next record, so you just throw it in the box. Yeah. And then the next night before DJ, I'd have to go through and put them all back in the sleeve, and go, oh shit, I've scratched that one. Yeah. And there was several records that I bought 5 and 6 times because I'd scratched them, or worse still, I'd thrown them on the floor of a DJ box, and I'd be dancing on them. And then I wouldn't realise until I got everything at home, and I'd be like to take a record, and I'd go, why is there a boot mark on that piece of vinyl? It's because I was dancing on it.
What was you... just going back to Lazy Lils, what was you taking then? Was you on speed then, or?
God, Lazy Lils.
When you would you play rhythm device acid rock, and you would sprint. I'm guessing, ecstasy or all your mates were. We used to sit down the side, so we used to always skin up, and we were always tripping. And then the Lionel Richie bouncer, he used to kick us out, but then after a bit he'd said, right, you can stay if you skin up for me.
That's right. Yeah, there was a bouncer. It was a spitting image of Lionel. Yeah, it was Lionel Richie, wasn't it? Yeah. You know, like Lionel Richie. Yeah. But it was hard to tell he was some cheating illness. He was
dead aggressive, wasn't he?
Yeah, so you would never come Lionel Richie to his face because you'd probably get smacked.
Yeah.
But he was a bit of a character. Yeah, so I don't know what drugs was on there. The thing is, one thing I realised quite soon is you can't take too many drugs when you're DJing. Yeah. You just completely lose the plot.
Did you ever do that? Did you ever
Oh God! I mean, at the venue, me and Leo were terrible, and I remember tripping at the venue one time, and trying to find my records, and it was like the records were melting in my hands. I was like, oh God! And I remember my friend Steve coming to the DJ box. He was like, "You all right?" I'm like, "The records are melting." He's like, "Just play them, you daft bastard. It's absolutely fine." But I mean, in the venue, there's one particular night as well where I actually couldn't DJ any longer. I thought I'd taken too much acid, and I thought that everybody was dancing knee deep in mud on the dance floor, and I was like, oh, I can't do this. And I remember Andy Barker, my friend Andy Barker, he was in 808 State, who also used to DJ with us at the venue. He was like, "You all right, Tint?" And I went, Andy, we're all dancing in mud. He looked at me and he was like, "You fucking dickhead," and he had to take over from the DJ for me that night, you know. So so you can't do much. But you know, it's interesting you saying about me going and DJ, playing a record, then going on the dance floor and running back. I did that quite a lot, because I wanted to get involved with the punters. Yeah. But it did go wrong one particular time in Lazy Lils, as I recall. Yeah. So to enhance the atmosphere, I wanted to bring in a smoke machine. Yeah. But Gay Ray said, no, it's too expensive, said Gay Ray. So I thought, well, I can't afford one myself, but it was cheaper to hire a bubble machine. Yeah. You know those machines that blows bubbles out? So we put it in the DJ box and blew it out all over the dance floor. What we didn't realise is that it made the dance floor really slippy. Yeah. Because obviously all these bubbles on the dance floor, it was like an ice rink. Anyway, I put on a record and thought, I'm going to get on the dance floor and play, and dance with everybody else. Came out and went completely on the arse. Which made the record jump off. Yeah. And then everybody's going, "Hey!" It's terrible. It's really embarrassing. And I just remember my friend Howard laughing at the bar. It was very embarrassing. But you talk about leaving the DJ box. If you're DJing for a long period of time, and any DJs will know this, you develop what we call DJ bladder. Yeah. So obviously you can't go to the toilet for 4 hours. Yeah. Right. So you train yourself not to do that. Or if you do, you have one record which is you going for a pee record. Yeah. Right. Blue Monday always used to be mine. Yeah. Because it lasts about 7 minutes, and that would just about give you enough time to leg it through the dance floor, leg it to the gent to get out and have another record before it finished.
Do you know when you were talking about competing with Dave for records?
Yes.
Where were you getting records? Was it we said before in the Eastern Bloc. What was you getting house imports, or was you?
Yeah. So I mean, you know, back in those days, there's loads of record shops that you could go to, but there seemed to be two very distinct camps between the DJs.
Yeah.
You were either an Eastern Bloc boy, which Dave and I were, or you were a spinning DJ, and the DJs went to get the records from spinning.
Yeah.
And you didn't generally go to the other one. It was like, you know, it's the cowboys and Indians. It's like, I'm a cowboy and that's Indian territory. Going in spinning. But we used to go to Eastern Bloc, and they always used to have all the best American imports.
Yeah.
You know, and we found some absolutely amazing records there.
Yeah.
Amazing records. But I remember Dave, and I was really, really, really jealous of him. He found this American import by, I think it was called BG, the Prince of Rap, or something.
Yeah.
And it had 9 tracks on this piece of vinyl.
Yeah.
But the very, very last one was the most amazing mix you've ever heard.
Yeah.
So Dave obviously went through every single mix to find that, which is a spectacular bit of crate digging, and Dave was always really, really good at that.
Yeah.
But yeah. There's some great stuff in Eastern Bloc. We always used to get all of our records in Eastern Bloc. And of course, because Eastern Bloc was owned by one of the members of 808 State, whenever 808 State brought a new record out, they used to have 50 white labels pressed up and just gave it to all the DJs who came into Eastern Bloc, like us.
Do you know what? I get shivers sometimes thinking that we lived through that, because it was completely new, wasn't it? So when house music came out, there was nothing else like it, was it? It was like, when you heard Adonis Nowhere back, it was like, what the fuck is this?
Exactly, it was like nothing else. And I remember the first time I heard Pacific State, I was absolutely floored.
Yeah.
So Andy and Darren, Andy Barker and Darren Partington, who were in 808 State, they also used to play at the venue.
Yeah.
I remember them playing at White Label. I'm like, what the hell is that? Because it's just stunning. And I remember going up to Andy and saying, what's that? And he went, oh, this is Quadrastate, the White Label. I said, have you got one of them? He went, well, he says, I've got 2 here. He says, I'll give it you on the proviso that you do play it. Which was a bit of a, you know, I mean, to say the least, I played it. I think I played that in every single DJ set for 20 years.
Yeah.
So Andy got his money's worth out of me.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just really special times, wasn't it? I keep looking at, there's a YouTube and it's a TV show in Detroit in the late 80s, and it's all techno, and it's like, it's a bit cheesy, it's all dancers in the club, but Blow Your House Down by a guy called Gerald was absolutely massive over there.
Yeah.
So we like imported music, didn't we? We'd buy the white labels and pay £5.50, but then we started importing it back with bands like 808 State, didn't we, and Gerald. And
which is great. I mean, Detroit and Chicago really is where all that music originated from. And I mean, I remember, was it, what was it? Love Can't Turn Around by Farley Jackmaster Funk.
Famous Top of the Pops appearance, that, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't Top of the Pops. I think it was Soul Train, where he kicked his shoe off. Daryl Pandy was the singer who kicked his shoe off. I think it was on Soul Train on the telly. I don't think it was Top of the Pops. It might be Top of the Pops. But for me, I mean, that was the first house record that really, I mean, there was earlier stuff, there was a lot of electro stuff earlier than that, but that was the first house record that really broke the UK. You know, and even now you listen to Love Can't Turn Around and it just makes you want to dance. Yeah,
it's aged well, and it still sounds well done, it still sounds powerful.
Yeah, really, really powerful. But all those sort of like Joan Atkins techno. I mean, I know you used to really like all those Joan Atkins 12 inch.
Mother 500.
In fact, I think you lent me a 12 inch, and I don't think I ever gave you back.
So that's where it went.
Sorry, I've just remembered, but I've still got it. I've still got it, I'm sure, in the collection somewhere.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, because I bring records in sometimes, don't I?
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I think, like, just going back to Lazy Lils, after you left, it wasn't the same, because it tried to be house music, where it wasn't about that. It was the Lazy Lils bit was more the indie dance, wasn't it?
Yeah, because as I remember, in the DeVille's part of the club, there was a guy called Alan Maskell who was a brilliant DJ, and he was like DJ royalty really in Manchester, because he used to DJ at a place called Pips, which was very, very big before my time. But in his side, in DeVille's, it was very, very, very sort of old indie.
Yeah.
So they were playing like The Cure and Sisters of Mercy and all that horrible stuff, but it had its fans. and then on my side it was the indie with the dance stuff, and it just worked perfectly. But you're right, when I left, I gather, it just went all housey, and it didn't work in that environment.
Yeah. And if you take an ecstasy, indie music sounded horrible there.
Some of it did, some of it didn't. I mean, whenever you're on E, you just want to have some kind of beat.
Yeah. And
there's some great indie records that sounded fantastic on E. All the Stone Roses stuff and a lot of the Mundy stuff and all that type of stuff. Yeah. A lot of other stuff from Manchester and Spell Carpets and all stuff like that sounded great because there was that sort of beat behind it. There was that sort of dance mentality towards what the bands wanted their records to sound like. Yeah. So they sounded great on E. Yeah. Echo and the Bunnymen sounds great on E, apparently.
I was just thinking, there's that contrast one where you go in one room and it'd be all like dark, it'd be a bit dark on it, and they play Joy Division and Violent Femmes, and then you come into your bit and then they'd be playing Cab It Up and the Colourbox.
Colourbox, great, yeah.
Yeah, I was listening to that coming down.
Colourbox World Cup theme.
Yeah.
It's a great
that
tune.
That really
actually
takes me back.
Yeah, I mean that entire album that they did, I can't remember, I think it was just called Colourbox, the album. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. But the people who did Colourbox were also the same people who were behind Mars, Pump Up the Volume.
Was it?
Yes, it's the same people.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And they actually stopped making music because they were sued really, really heavily, and it just put them off, and they stopped making music, and they never made anything else.
What were they sued for? Was it copyright?
It's copyright, yeah. Because at that time, they were sort of like the trailblazers of sampling other people's records.
Yeah.
But then, of course, the record companies got wise to it and thought we could earn a few quid out of suing them. But the guys behind Colourbox, they were just worn down by it, and they never made any music after that first album. It's such a shame because it still sounds amazing, that first Colourbox album.
God, you wouldn't think that, would you? Do you know, I was in the Paradise Factory, I think it was 1993, and Lady Miss K was in.
Right.
Yeah, she did a PA, and I got talking to her, and I was talking about Roy Ayers. God knows how I got on that subject, but she said that they wanted to use a Roy Ayers track, but you won't let them, and then it would have cost them. Yeah, you just.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Certain bands can give permission, and it's all fine. So, for instance, MC Tunes, another old friend of ours, when he was working with 808 State, he did a tune called "Tune Splits the Atom."
Yeah, I remember that.
And the bass line is I Am the Resurrection from Stone Roses. That great sort of break in the middle of I Am Resurrection, and Manny's bass line goes ding 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 ding. So anyway, they just sampled that, and all they needed to do was ring up Manny, and Manny went, Manny being Manny, went, yeah, of course you can sample it, great. And you can hear it all running through. So if bands give the permission, then it's easily done.
I think we're hitting the half hour spot. I meant to set a timer for, but I didn't. So I always try and end them with what's a favourite track.
Favourite track from when? From which era? Because I was DJing.
Freedom.
From Freedom.
Yeah.
The Boardwalk. My favourite tune from Freedom at the Boardwalk would probably have to be LFO.
LFO.
LFO by LFO, I would say. But there was also a tune called. In fact, if Dave Aslam's watching this, I can hear him screaming now, saying "Planet Rock," because I always used to play this Planet Rock thing by Africa Bambaataa. Yeah. But another tune that was kind of two other tunes that were kind of Macaulay cards was Al Knifefish by Hacienda, which is an electro tune. Yeah. I still play that in sets now. And a Mantronics tune called King of the Beats, which is the one where it's got the sirens going through it. Yeah. And I used to always play that, and still do, and that's an absolute banger. And I remember hearing that in the Hacienda. They used to have Wednesday, I think it was a Wednesday night called Hot, with John De Silva, DJ, it's a great DJ. And I remember listening to that Mantronics tune the first time.
Was it Void, that John De Silva?
No, it was called Hot. The night was called Hot.
Yeah.
They used to have a night called Zumbar there, which is like they used to have fashion shows. That was odd.
Sounds like a workout.
And then, of course, when Ecstasy flooded the Hacienda, they changed it to Hot, and John De Silva was there playing loads of really strong acid house music. Yeah. Fantastic. But that's where I first heard that Mantronics song, and it really was quite something. So that always sticks in my mind.
So thanks so much, Tintin. You're an absolute legend.
Right, nice one. Yeah, nice to see you again.
Yeah. So.
All right, cheers.
Yeah.